So you mentioned you came from marketing and advertising, and you mentioned you lost everything. Like, what were you investing in that you lost everything back in the financial crisis?
Yeah, so in 2009, I mean, I'll just kind of journey back a little bit. In 2006, I started in the workforce, so to speak. I graduated university, got a job, and I was making actually decent money. Like by the time 2007 rolled around, I was making decent six figures. And kind of fell into that whole trap, making good money, spending good money, meaning not keeping enough. And so about 2 3 years later, because this was a very demanding corporate job, I think a lot of people probably have that experience as well. And I always kind of like to say, if you only work 40 hours a week, good on you, congratulations, because I was literally pulling 70 80 hours a week. And that was the old formula, right? Go get a good job. So they'll give you benefits, you'll get RSPs, you'll get pension, all that kind of stuff. And you'll climb the corporate ladder and your paychecks are going to grow because you're going to get promotions. And I did that for a good solid 3 years. And so I did advance. But then as I was advancing, as my paychecks grew, I also realized my lifestyle's not really changing all that much. And also, my savings were actually going down because I started working in 2006 and then 2008 happened. By the time '09 came around, I realized my company stock options had got cut in half and my savings account was not growing at all. Like a good boy, good Asian boy, I'll add to. In 2009, when TFSA started, I maxed it out right away too, because that was the old school mindset about how money works. Just save, save, and save and save. And you save it with a financial institution and you don't really know what's going to happen to it. And so I think 3 years later, and this is about end of '09 now, I started to realize that this is not very sustainable for me. I was working a lot, not keeping a lot. Savings and retirements are diminishing, literally. And I'm just kind of thinking, this is just not going to work out. I mean, I'm going to work till the day I die now. Forget
Oh
about,
yeah, you had no
freedom
savings. Actually,
55,
your net
freedom
worth got slashed
65.
in half.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, I was only 27 at the time. So it doesn't really take a genius to realize that when things are sliding backwards. And so I talked to a coworker who was almost 30 years older than me. And she basically told me that, oh, yeah, we park our money in real estate.
Right.
And if
Oh,
you
sorry, she
want,
was
I
in her
can make a
50s?
referral. Yeah, she
Okay,
was
okay.
30
Yeah,
years older than me. Like she
got it.
was actually my mom's age.
Uh-huh.
And so she made the connection. And there was just some blind trust there because we're coworkers. And, I sort of forgot the fact that she was a lot older than me because I'm looking at her, looking at me going, well, we make about the same amount of money. How come your lifestyle is way better? You get more vacation time and you go on better vacations, forgetting that she's got 30 years ahead of me. However, hindsight's always 2020. So I took the referral, scheduled a meeting, and the guy came in. I basically brought my checkbook with me that day already because I was already pre-sold, if you will. And he made a very, very posh presentation about this commercial development projects that they were doing in Saskatchewan. They came with 20 something years of experience. And basically, within the hour, by the time he was done, I already whipped out my checkbook and I cashed everything out to write that check and handed it over. And so I didn't even know what it was, but later on, I learned that I participated in a syndication. And so I put my money in and thinking that about a month or two later, I'm going to get my D certificate proving my ownership, however many percentages that I have with the money that I put in. And I did get a letter a couple of months later. This is beginning of 2010 now. And I just about cried because instead of a letter coming from a law firm giving me my deed certificate, it was actually a letter from a law firm saying that they had taken everybody's money and ran. And so they were asking all the investors to be involved to come to a meeting to figure out what the next steps were going to be on whether or not we can actually recuperate any money at all. And so I've never been through anything like that. I was just kind of shell shocked. And so I went to that meeting And it happened in an office downtown in one of those giant towers. I got in the elevator and pressed the floor that I was supposed to get to. And as the elevator goes up, I started hearing like rumblings and screamings and yellings and crying and howlings. And I'm like, oh my God, this is weird. It's like I'm in a horror flick.
Yeah, it's
And I don't
like
watch those kind of movies. It
that.
was
Stop
crazy.
elevator.
I know. I'm like literally like I think, can I press a different floor? I couldn't because security had to let me up. It's one of those, elevators where you can only go to the designated floor that you're meant to be.
Oh,
So
gee.
I'm like, oh my God, like my heart's like pounding super fast. And then of course, by the time the door opens, I'm going, this is the floor that I'm supposed to be at. And it's just ruckus. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? I'm here. I'm gonna go find out what's happening. So I got to the room, and basically, as soon as I opened the door, what I saw was just people, just tons of people standing, sitting, standing on a table, lying on the ground, pounding on the floor. And then I realized that I was probably one of the youngest people there, if not the youngest person. Everybody else is in their 50s or 60s or maybe even 70s. And people are saying things like, oh my God, I'm going to do things. Well, I'm not going to repeat some of those things because that's going to land them in jail. I hope none of those things actually happened. But what was really heartbreaking was hearing people saying things like, that was my entire life's work. That was all of my savings. How am I going to pay my bills? I'm not going to retire now. I'm going to have to go and get a job at McDonald's. And like that, like shocked me to my very core. I thought I got shocked a few weeks prior getting that letter. Seeing this,
Yeah, you thought you had
I
it
was,
bad.
yeah, I became numb. And I walked away from it. Obviously, the lawyer sat everybody down, managed to have some sort of peaceful moments to go through the procedures and the next steps, and whether or not we were all willing to participate. We all had the options. And I walked away from it. It took me a few days, and I decided, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm not going to be a part of this. And this is also actually another turning point for me because I heard how much people were losing, and I realized I literally wrote over a check just shy of $50,000. So that's another wake up call for me too, because I was making six figures for 3 years in my 20s. And I'm like, where did all my money go? That's when I realized that, oh my God, somebody called the CRA was taking a lot of my money. And so even though I was making good money, I wasn't keeping a lot in the first place. And we were living pretty large in our 20s, me and my partner. And yeah, when I wrote over that check, it didn't hit me that I only had less than $50,000 to play with, or to invest with rather.
Mhm.
And so when that money went away, I was thinking, hang on a second. Oh my God, I've been working for 3 years. How many more 3 year blocks do I have? And if I continue to live the way that I do, this is really just not going to work out very well for me down the road. And so I decided not to participate in it. But you know what they say, everything happens for a reason. A few weeks later, I was driving for work, radio was on. I think I'm kind of dating myself now, right? Radio was
Radio.
on, and I'm listening to this ad going, learn how to invest in real estate the right way. And I guess I've always been interested in leveraging real estate as a vehicle for investments. And so I just decided to go to the training. And as they say, the rest is history. I went to their free seminar, and then I moved on to the next level, and then I moved on to the next level. I ended up investing about $50,000 in 2010 in my financial education. However, it was very scary at the time because looking back, really, it was blind faith. I kind of just decided that I was going to trust the process. I was going to trust myself, that I was going to learn something and make a difference in my own life. And I think that's probably why I decided to build this community.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
how you say that. Like, trust yourself. I find a lot of people
Yeah.
have that's probably their biggest sticking point. They easily
Yep.
trust strangers.
I know.
And the
Yeah.
money's like somewhere else now. Often it's uninsured. but
Yep.
they have trouble trusting themselves.
Yep.
That-